guys.
I'm Sarah.
And this is Cole.
And you're listening to Borrowed Bones. Today, we are going to talk about ghosts.
Oh, ghosts.
Demons.
Fictional things.
Well, this family believes it was real, but before we get into it, I have some housekeeping things I want to say right up top. I typically do things at the end of our podcast.
Oh, is this a disclaimer?
Not a disclaimer, just housekeeping. I noticed that with our last episode, we did get quite a few more followers.
Ooh.
Listeners, I don't really know what it's called, but more people have heard our voices.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to say hello to everyone and do a little shout out. We have listeners in Canada, Australia, Nicaragua, the UK, Mexico, Philippines, and South Africa.
Wow.
Obviously, of course, America as well. But I just thought that was really interesting. And thank you all. We appreciate it.
Did you mention any from South America? Do we have all the continents then? You said Australia, North America, Africa.
I don't think any in South America.
Okay. I'm just curious if we got all the continents.
Yeah.
Did we get the McDonald Islands? Any penguins listening in Antarctica?
I hope so.
Apparently they're equal to humans.
But yeah, I just wanted to say hello. Thank you for listening. And again, we do not have a Facebook or an Instagram. I am staying away from those more. We all know why I'm staying away from those. I don't like them anymore. I'm done.
Oligarch owned.
Yes, exactly. We do have a Blue Sky account, so you can follow us on Blue Sky. It is Borrowed Bones. My personal Blue Sky account is Daughter of Marauders. It'd be neat to see a few more followers as well from that. But also, I discovered a new way to engage with us directly. So if you're streaming us through your mobile device, which you most likely are, look at the Apple Podcast or the Spotify, however you're listening to it. And if you look right after the cover artwork and then right before the details, there's a little thing you can click on that says, send us a text.
Oh.
You can send us a text directly, and I know Cole's very excited about that.
Well, you'll be the one getting him.
Yeah, I'll be the one reading them and filtering through. But yes, say hello, and I'll give you a shout out if you say hello. I know we've had a few reviews and ratings online as well, which is very helpful. So yes, whatever you guys can do to help us stay engaged and help us keep moving forward for more people to see us. Yeah,
Is that still a thing? Clout score?
I don't know what that is.
No.
So follow, rate, review, send us a text. I want to hear what you guys think. And I also would love suggestions. Do you have any fucked up families? Topics, anything you want us to talk about, let us know. I think that's it.
All right.
I tried to get through that very fast and totally fine if you skip through it because I would have too.
Yeah. All right. We're doing a specific ghost story.
It is a family that was haunted by demons/ghosts.
Okay.
All of the above. We got it all.
All right. You can't hear my eyes rolling over the audio, but they're doing somersaults.
Yeah. I live in the camp of I know that I don't know what's going on, but I am very critical. You need to prove it to me that there's a ghost lurking about. I will go through everything before I believe you. I don't know if you'll ever believe in ghosts.
I do not believe in ghosts. I don't believe in souls. I don't believe in spirits. I don't really believe in a self. I mean, if we all had ghosts, there'd be nothing but ghosts in the world. They would outnumber the living.
Yeah. Well, we have a family that fully believes their house was like a demon house.
Oh.
Yeah. So let's get into it. We have Latoya Amons, her mother, Rosa, and then we have Latoya's 3 children, which we do not know the names of.
So 3 generations.
Yes.
Okay.
Latoya has 3 children, a 12-year-old daughter, a 9-year-old son, and a 7-year-old son.
And there's no father or grandfather in the picture?
This is the group, the family dynamic that's living in this house.
Grandma, mom, 3 kids.
Mm-hmm. Now, November of 2011.
Oh, this is a recent one.
Yep, a little more recent.
Oh.
Yeah, I normally go way back, but I don't know, want to do something a little more recent this time around.
Well, it's interesting because the old ghost stories are usually, more vivid because there wasn't modern technology to impeach their testimony.
Yeah. So They all moved in November of 2011. They moved into a home in Gary, Indiana.
Oh. Yeah, all right. I'm switched now. I believe it was haunted because I feel like all of Gary.
Oh, you don't think of the Music Man? Gary, Indiana, Gary, Indiana, Gary. No?
The Jackson 5 from...
Well, yeah.
I just remember like on every, remember like 10 years ago, History Channel would have that show of like life after people. They would show like if humanity just disappeared in the wink, how the world would evolve. And they always used Gary, Indiana as
like
a test
real
case
world example
to like see how nature reclaimed a ghost town. I mean, no, it's not a ghost town, but it's, you know, a shamble of what it was in its heyday.
All right,
so it's always used as like, look how the vines and the grass retake concrete.
Yeah, we currently do not have any Indiana listeners, so I'm sure this is winning them over. But I think everyone is aware that Gary's kind of a rougher spot. Yeah. But that's where they moved into this little cottage-style home where they claim to be harassed, haunted, possessed, and messed with by what they say were over 200 demons and spirits that reside in that house.
Okay. How do they know it's not just one? I'm
going to let you know.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, there's plenty of people in this story.
Ooh, did all the demons tell them their names?
No.
Oh, I was waiting for them to say names that conform with old names.
Nope.
Okay.
There were a few movies made after this story, and there were also quite a handful of medical professionals as well as police officers and case managers that were working with the family from the Department of Child Services. They were convinced that a supernatural force was interfering with the family. Like outsiders feel this way.
Okay.
So what happened? What's going on?
Hysteria is contagious.
Yeah, that's why there's mass hysteria.
Mm-hmm.
But it all started really soon after the family moved in. So again, they moved in November of 2011. And then just 1 month of living in the house, Latoya noticed a bunch of flies, a swarm of them in her front porch area. And she had like that covered front porch that you see a lot in the Midwest.
Like a mudroom?
Yeah.
Okay. Like a fence, like a enclosed front porch.
Yeah, not covered like in the South. Enclosed, like a Three Seasons room. And so there was flies inside in December of her house. December in Indiana is very cold. How do you have a bunch of flies there? So that is strange. It is a weird thing. Latoya said that every time she would clean it up and get rid of the flies, they would just come back. So that was her first sign of what's going on here. Okay. And then Latoya and her mom, Rosa, said that sometimes after midnight, they would hear footsteps that were going up and down the basement stairs, and the basement door opened up into the kitchen. So, okay, interesting things, nothing too crazy. Then Rosa said that she's woken up to a shadowy figure of a man pacing in the living room. And then Rosa also saw a large boot print after witnessing this shadowy figure. Right.
All right.
Yep. Stories you can't say yes or no to.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Was there a home intruder?
Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, one night in March of 2012, so we're the new year, a few months in now, around 2 a.m., Rosa is called into her granddaughter's room. Rosa heard the granddaughter's friend who was staying the night, heard her friend call out.
Her granddaughter's having a sleepover with a friend. Friend freaks out.
Yes.
Okay.
Grandma runs in, enters the room, and sees her granddaughter levitating over the bed.
Oh.
And I believe that the mom, Latoya, ran in as well and saw this. The granddaughter then descended back down onto the bed. And when the granddaughter woke up, she didn't remember anything. Just nothing. And that's it with that one.
Okay.
Yeah, these stories are really quick and they just kind of move on with their day. Like, that's a thing. Now, after this, though, after the levitation, they did start to seek help. They reached out to
the Catholic Church.
Local churches, yes.
The local old wise guy who suddenly knows everything about the demons.
Yep. And one church did finally take pity on them because the Catholic Church isn't really into the supernatural stuff anymore ever since The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Like
Vatican
they're really
kinda...
ever since The Exorcist came out, probably before that too. But
there were Catholic consultants.
Yeah, there were.
The Vatican gave Yeah, they were on set of The Exorcist.
Well, and they used to be more open to helping, but now they are even very movie, much like, nope, we're not doing this. We don't do this anymore.
Yeah, because even in the movie, the priest has to fight like an uphill battle to get the approval in the hierarchy to do.
Yeah.
Because they think of it, it's an old Middle Ages.
Yeah. Well, the church that did believe them, they told the family, they told Latoya and Rosa to bleach their house and clean it with ammonia.
Okay.
Yeah. That'll get rid of it. Then they were instructed to draw the shape of a cross on every door and window with oil. So kind of like anointing.
Okay. Canola oil? Or what kind of oil?
Right. I think of olive oil. Yeah. I don't know. It just says oil. I don't know.
Did they burn any sage?
It doesn't say that, but I would have. But get some incense going. Why not? I mean, Latoya, she did what the church said, and she even anointed her kids with the oil as well. She just took it upon herself to do it to her children. Now, after this, there were 2 clairvoyants that were brought in. You wondered how we know all these things, these clairvoyants.
Oh.
I was unable to figure out who they were.
It's convenient.
They're very unnamed. No one can really figure out who they were. So just these 2 random clairvoyants were brought in to take a look. And they were the ones that said that the home had over 200 demons and spirits in it. And they said Latoya and the family needed to move out. Now, of course, Latoya said, well, that's kind of easy to say, but I don't have the money to do that. We're going to have to stay here.
I live in Gary, Indiana.
Yeah. Now, instead of moving, the clairvoyants told Latoya that she could create an altar in the basement because this seemed to be where the activity was coming from.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Well, a religious altar, like a Catholic, shrine vibe. Yeah. So Latoya got an end table and she brought it downstairs and she draped a white sheet over it. She also placed a white candle and a statue of Mary, Joseph, and Jesus on the table. And then she opened the Bible to Psalm 91 and put that on the table. And the psalm, the little excerpt of it is, "You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday." I don't know. You will not fear the terror of night, not the arrow that flies by day. No fear, blah, blah, blah. Be
strong in God.
Yeah. Latoya did all this with someone else, but I don't know who it was, like a friend or a neighbor or someone. And they both wore white T-shirts, and they both wound white scarves around their heads.
Okay.
All of this was... Oops, sorry.
It's important because, we know that demons see in the same infrared spectrum that we do.
Well, this is what the clairvoyants told them to do, so they did. Oh, and they did burn sage. I forgot.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So then the two of them...
Didn't work, though, apparently.
They burned sage and sulfur, which is what I was remembering. Why'd they burn the sulfur?
You just brought the demon back with the sulfur.
Isn't that the smell that demons make when they're around?
Brimstone, rotten eggs. Yeah. Well,
the two of them burned sage and sulfur throughout the house, and they said that they could barely breathe. Obviously, sulfur smells like shit.
Yeah.
Latoya then drew a cross in the air out of the smoke while the other person was reading the Psalm 91 out loud. So kind of this seance, not seance, but ritual.
Yeah.
For 3 days, everything was good. Nothing happened. Everything was great. But then...
After the 3rd day, it rose again?
Yes, it got worse.
Oh. So apparently Jesus didn't stop them.
No, the demon came back stronger. I'm like, nah, bitch, you can't get rid of me. What up? And they were like, we're going to possess all of you. Latoya and the 3 children, all possessed. Boom, 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 done. Not Rosa, though. Not the grandma. She said that she was born with protection from evil and that her and others like her have a guardian who protects them. I don't know why. I don't get that part. Hashtag Catholic.
Have they considered just start worshiping the demons? Since apparently the god they're worshiping can't stop him, so just switch allegiances. Bet on the winner. That's what I say.
When the demon possessed the kids, their eyes would bulge out. They would have these little evil smiles and their voices would deepen. And Latoya said this would happen every time they became possessed. They would come in and out of possession.
Okay.
Right. Convenient for a small child.
Is this documented at all? As far as video evidence?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. It's 2012. It's not like there was smartphones everywhere to record things like this.
No. Mm-hmm. Now, the youngest son, the 7-year-old, He would sit in the closet and talk to a boy that no one else could see. He would say that this invisible boy was describing to him what it felt like to die.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the kid's got a twisted imaginary friend. It's probably a projection of his own, whatever's going on in his head.
And for me, because I was a nanny for, again, not a parent, but I was a full-on nanny for multiple families for a long time. And if I had a 7-year-old boy tell me this, I would immediately say, we should go to therapy and figure out what's happening in this brain here. What's going on? Either they have a natural curiosity about death, because death is a part of life and you're going to be curious and okay, let's learn how to talk about that and deal with it. Or there's something else going on. And I don't mean ghosts.
This all sounds like manifestations of a fucked up family household. And these are
acting out.
Cries for help or just
anything. Yeah, something.
I'm always amazed by the logical leap of, oh, this is strange, therefore ghosts.
Yeah, why does it jump right to
There's
that?
flies in December. I don't know, but I have theories that aren't supernatural.
Yeah. Anyway, Rosa said that one time the youngest son was thrown out of the bathroom. Like, not the bathroom window. That's how I took it at first. But, like, he's in the bathroom and he's thrown out the door into the hallway. And she said it looked like someone picked him up and just threw him out, but no one was with him. He just got tossed out of the bathroom. Weird. And then another time, this is odd. Another time there was a headboard from a bed that smacked the daughter so hard it caused her to get stitches.
Or someone hit her with something and she got stitches.
Yeah, I do not know the whole story. That's the only little excerpt I got from the interviews that the grandmother and mom had after it all. So I'm not sure about that. That is very strange. If a headboard did just lift up and hit her, that's of course insane and crazy. And oh my God, that ghosts are real if that happened.
It would rewrite the laws of physics. It'd be the biggest discovery in human history.
But I do feel like there's more to that.
Yeah, or they just lied.
Yeah. Now, the daughter would describe these episodes of, like, she'd have these moments of feeling like she's being choked and held down where she couldn't speak or move. And
sleep paralysis?
It could be, who knows? She did say that once she heard a voice tell her that she would never see her family again and that she wouldn't live for another 20 minutes.
She did live for more than 20 minutes and saw her family again, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if she's lying about hearing that voice or not. Not saying that voice is real, but clearly these are signs that these children should get evaluated. Yeah,
maybe I shouldn't say that the children are lying.
Yes.
But children,
there's something going on.
You make things up because parents tell you it's true. Your parent tells you that there's a ghost in the house.
Yeah.
You're going to accept it.
Mm-hmm. There were some nights when the family would leave and stay at a hotel. Like, the mom and grandma are that scared they're going to spend money to go to a hotel. I mean, that says that they do believe in it.
There is, also like the foil a do of, you just 2-3 people, it becomes a self-sustaining myth. You just keep telling it to yourself and your friends, and they add it to it, and it just becomes
changes slightly here and there, and then your memory changes, and you believe it because it's your memory now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have false memories all the time because I grew up as a twin. I'm always like, did that happen to her or me? I don't know. It happened to one of us. Anyway, in April of 2012, they finally did turn to their family doctor for help.
Go to science after religion fails.
Yes. Now, the doctor jotted a few things down in his notes, like delusions of ghosts, hallucinations. He also mentioned that it was really bizarre. He never had heard of anything like this in all of his years of medical care. And there was a DCS report, and DCS is the Department of Child Services.
Okay. It's so like CPS for Indiana.
Yeah. They had a report, and the articles are all kind of shoddy because the way that Indiana wrote about this locally was very sensationalized. So it was hard to wade through exactly how it went down. And a lot of these firsthand reports are still, I can't see them really because they're
minors.
Yeah, it's just too hard to find. Right. So I think that the DCS worker was speaking to the doctor, but not at the actual examination of the children. But in the DCS report, they wrote down what happened at the doctor's office.
Yeah, they probably talked to the doctor afterwards.
Yes. So according to the DCS report, the 2 boys, they cursed the doctor in demonic voices. They were being aggressive and swearing. The medical staff reported that the youngest boy, the 7-year-old, that he was lifted and thrown into the wall with nobody touching him. Nurses are saying this.
Is it impossible for a kid to just jump up and throw him? I mean,
exactly.
Like, I can make it look like something's throwing me.
Mm-hmm. After the boys were having these fits, they abruptly passed out and they couldn't wake up. The people were trying to wake them up and they weren't coming to. So the doctor's office had to call the emergency services and take them to the hospital.
Okay.
While at the hospital, Latoya tried to anoint her sons yet again with oil. And the staff...
Because it worked so well the first time.
Right. And according to Latoya, this is her interview, she said the staff laughed at her. And this is when Latoya knew that she had to speak with God because God listens.
He didn't listen so far. You called on his son, who is him, to help, and he didn't do shit.
Mm-hmm.
He also created the 200 demons and put them in your house.
I don't know, yeah.
Do we get into, like, who lived in the house beforehand, or, like, are they the first ones in this house to be like, it's haunted?
They're the first ones, yeah.
Okay. There's not, like, lore of this house going back 200 years of, like, everyone who's ever lived there has been murdered, and it's just a house.
Everyone before and since. It's a rental house, so there's been plenty of people living there, and the landlord never had an issue. Residents before and after never had an issue. This is the only family that's had an issue.
Oh, they rented it. Okay.
Yeah.
Get out of their lease early?
They didn't really try that. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
When the boys woke up, the 9-year-old, he was fine. He was acting normal. He just, I don't know, crashed, woke up, reset, ready to go. The 7-year-old, though, he was really going through it. He was thrashing around, screaming, and it did take 5 men to hold him down. Now, I have a little side note here because that is a lot, and I do believe that it probably did take 5 men to hold him down. When a child is screaming and throwing their bodies around like that, as an adult, you're trying not to hurt them while controlling them. So you can't use all of your force on this 7-year-old. I was a nanny. I've had to take care of plenty of screaming children. And you're not. You're not supposed to, but you're just not going to because you're not an evil human adult who's going to hurt children for no reason. When I was little, had to be held down by medical professionals whenever I would get a shot. I would always have at least 3 nurses, and the doctor would have the needle. Like, I always had to be held down. Damn. Yeah. When kids don't want to do something, they don't want to do it. And they're going to do what they can to get away. So, again, does it have to be paranormal? No. He's just a very strong-willed child.
Having a tantrum. And again, his mom and grandma have been telling
encouraging it without trying to, but yes.
Encourage, but like, I'm not saying they're feeding him lines, but they've been telling him.
Yeah, this is what's happening.
Like, there's demons. So
he's freaking out.
He can act however he wants. Yeah. I'm not even saying he's intentionally doing it, but you can act however you want.
Yeah.
And then it was the demon mom.
Yeah, and he might believe it.
How convenient. Yeah.
Who knows? While they were at the hospital, someone, a medical professional or someone, called DCS. Mm-hmm. Under the suspicion that Latoya was abusing her children or that Latoya was mentally unwell, and alleging that the children were performing for their mother.
Yeah.
So now DCS comes to the hospital, and Valerie Washington is the case manager, the one assigned to the case. In her investigation, she wrote that the hospital staff examined Latoya and her children. They were all found to be healthy and free of marks or bruises. After reading all this, I don't believe Latoya was hurting her children and like beating them. I think that she was swept up in this too. Like it's all mental, I think. And I don't think she's trying to do anything. It does sound like her kids and her were actually pretty close. It's just she's struggling with other things. She's letting this paranormal stuff take over when she needs help in other ways.
You live in Gary, Indiana.
Yeah. Now, Valerie Washington, she also determined that Latoya was of sound mind and that the kids were all like mentally, none of them have something that they can't control. Yeah, they might need therapy and stuff, but they're not having psychotic breaks right now.
Or compulsions.
Right. While Washington was interviewing Latoya, the 7-year-old son was growling at her and his eyes rolled in the back of his head. just like yours just did.
Yeah. See, anyone can do it. See, I can growl too and put my eyes in the back of my head at the same time.
Yeah. Well, then
ghosts.
Ghosts. Oh no. Then the 7-year-old locked his hands around his older brother's throat and he would not let go. He had to be pried off by the adults in the room. Later that evening, we're still at the hospital. Everyone's still being evaluated. Washington accompanies a nurse and they bring the boys into an exam room for an interview. Rosa is there as well. The grandmother is present. The 7-year-old stared at his older brother and growled, and he said, "It's time to die. I will kill you," in a deep, unnatural voice. I'm sorry.
I'm just picturing
imagining a 7-year-old
I'll
growling.
kill you.
It's time to die. I'll kill you.
Okay. I'll put my hand on your head and hold you as you swing at me. And yeah.
I've had a 7-year-old threaten me with my life. They've been like, "I want to kill you." And I'm like, "Well, you're going to time out. I don't know what to tell you." Like, bye, go away.
Yeah. Once these kids start speaking Latin out of nowhere, then I'll be impressed.
Well, while the 7-year-old was doing this, the older brother, the 9-year-old, was headbutting his grandmother's stomach. Not hard, but just like a constant like bump, bump, bump. And so then, well, this is a good one. When Grandma Rosa, she was obviously worked up and she grabbed their hands and she began praying. And as she was praying, the older brother, the 9-year-old, had a weird grin on his face. And as he's holding his grandma's hands, he starts walking backwards up the wall to the ceiling and then flips over his grandmother and lands on the other side. There are other adult witnesses to this. He physically did that. That's a true thing. He really, there's no lying about that. Okay, before you get on your whatever, that truly happened. The Valerie Washington, the DCS manager, was there, a nurse was there, and Grandma was there.
Okay.
That's a solid amount. So that one, hold on to that one.
I'm holding on to it. Yeah. But I'm still not convinced. I can believe that they believe it happened.
No, it did happen.
And once again, not on video, is it? Even though I guarantee they all had fucking smartphones. I guarantee that any one of them could have filmed it. None of them did.
Well, it did happen.
Okay. Prove it.
Okay. Now, this is in the official DCS report from Washington, and the nurse, like I said, corroborated it. The nurse said that the boy walked up the wall, flipped over her, and stood there. There's no way he could have done that. We didn't know what was going on. That was crazy. I was like, everybody gotta go. I mean, it scared people. They left, and And then Washington has a quote in the report saying, "The boy glided backwards on the floor, wall, and ceiling. He just went up backwards. Slunk his way up." They left the room to find a doctor, and when they told the doctor asked the boy to do it again, and of course the boy had no memory of having done it at all.
Okay.
So could not repeat it, but I believe it really happened, and I will tell you later why.
Is there like tread marks on the ceiling?
I will tell you later why. Washington and the nurse believe it's possible that evil could be the influence, is what they wrote. Yes.
All right. Why is everyone convinced these hauntings are evil?
Probably because the 7-year-old is growling and wanting to kill his brother.
I don't know.
But Latoya spent the night with her 7-year-old son in the hospital, while Rosa took the older two to a nearby relative's house.
Okay.
The following day, DCS asked for the older two kids to be brought back to the hospital for additional interviewing. It was also the 7-year-old's 8th birthday, so they were all able to celebrate in the hospital with a little small cake. And then DCS dropped the bomb. They informed Latoya the children would not be going home with her.
Smart.
They declared an emergency where they were able to take the children out of Latoya's care without a court order. Now, it's interesting that Washington, in her report, says that evil could be of influence, but then she still throws this emergency thing down and needs the children removed. I'm guessing she's just covering all of her bases. She's aware it's not a safe environment for these kids at this moment. I just don't think she knows what's going on,
It's strange to me that she would mention the existential concept of evil as a possible...
Exactly.
That makes me inherently doubt them to begin with.
Okay.
I'm sure that she's coming into this with religious views or views that she's open to this, clearly.
Yeah. It's from what Washington experienced. It's from what she saw. So whatever. I just burped. I'm sorry. I'm leaving it in. On the morning of April 20th, 2012.
420.
Oh, yeah. Hitler's birthday. Reverend Michael Maginot, the priest for St. Stephen Martyr Church in Maryville, Indiana, he was doing a Bible study in his living room when he receives a call, and it was the hospital chaplain. The hospital chaplain was requesting an exorcism of a 9-year-old boy. Ooh, I wonder who that could be. Maybe the boy that went up on the ceiling. Now, Maginot agreed to meet with the boy and his family. Maginot went to their house, and for the first 2 hours of his visit, Latoya and Rosa spoke to Maginot and just told their story. And as they were speaking, Rosa noticed a light from the bathroom that kept flickering. Whenever Reverend Maginot would approach to investigate the light, it would stop flickering. So Maginot just thought to himself, it must be scared of me. The Venetian blinds in the kitchen were swinging a lot, I guess, when Maginot was there. And Maginot also said that he saw wet footprints in the living room. It had like hardwood floors. Yeah. As they were all there and Latoya and Rosa were telling him everything, Latoya began complaining of a headache. And then when Maginot placed a crucifix against her forehead, she started convulsing, shaking around, doing all that fun stuff.
Conditioned response.
Yeah.
Be curious if she was like
asleep.
blindfolded and just different objects were put to her. Would she pass the Pepsi challenge?
That's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The next time you think someone is possessed, try it.
All of these are just so flawed in the scientific method. That's why I don't like, they're all just confirmation bias of, I'm not, you know what I'm saying, ghost stories in general. They're all,
I know what you mean, yeah.
Look at this proof we got. Did you try anything else or just try the thing that you wanted to be true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's fun. So when Maginot placed the crucifix on her forehead, she was convulsing, and the total visit was 4 hours long. And after Maginot left, he was convinced that this family was being tormented by demons and ghosts. Demons! You're not my sister, so sorry. It's an inside joke that I do with Samantha. Hey, Sam, what up? And Haley, but we do just say demons. I don't know why. I don't know where it came from. Anyway, Maginot blessed the house. And he was like, hey, y'all should probably clear out for a little bit. Give these demons some time to like chill because I made them angry.
Too big of a job for Jesus to handle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Latoya and Rosa stayed with nearby relatives that night. Now remember, the kids are with DCS. Yeah. Less than 1 week went by before Latoya and Rosa had to go back to the house, though, because they needed to meet with their DCS case manager, Valerie Washington. Washington asked for police to accompany her on this house call, and then 2 more police officers just asked if they could join out of professional curiosity. Yeah, like they didn't have to go.
What do you want me to do? Arrest a ghost? Like even if like, what are the cops going to do?
Yeah, they were
even
just
if
like,
there are,
let's check it out.
I'll believe there are 200 odd demons. What are the cops going to do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Handcuff them? Shoot? Like
I have no idea.
Make them more dead?
Well, Latoya, she refused to go into the house entirely. She was there to open the door, and that was it. Rosa went in with the group, and Rosa told them about the demons and said that the demons seemed to come from beneath the basement stairs.
Good place, under the stairs.
Yeah. One officer's audio recorder was malfunctioning, and the power lights were flashing as if it were low on battery, but the officer said he just replaced the batteries that day. Weird. Another officer that was there, he was able to record some audio, and he caught an unknown voice whispering, hey. That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
That's impressive.
And this is in the Gary Police Department official police records as evidence.
Okay.
Yeah. The officers also took photos around the house as well. In one photo, when they're down in the basement, they take a photo of the stairs, and there's this like cloudy white image in the upper right-hand corner. Now, the basement was dark, so the white cloudy image stood out. And when it was enlarged, the white cloud resembled a face. And then after they enlarged it, they also discovered a green image that looked like a woman kind of figure after enlarging.
Yeah. Apophenia. Seeing patterns in random data.
One Gary, Indiana officer, Captain Austin is his last name.
He's a captain, huh?
Yeah, he's a captain. Yeah. And so he's been on the force for a while, a few years, and he's pretty well respected, good guy. And he said that the photos that he took on his iPhone had strange silhouettes in them. And the radio in his police car was malfunctioning on his way home from the house.
Okay.
Now, later, Captain Austin said that his electric garage door at home refused to open, even though his home had power. I've had garage doors break with power in the house
so just
before.
Anything unfortunate that happens in this guy, the next
very odd,
bit is the ghost, even though it's not the scene. But just
and the thing is
that night I stubbed my toe walking to the bathroom. Must be the ghost followed me. Like, what is with these people?
Gary, Indiana's kind of boring, man. Have you ever been there?
Driven through it several times.
Yeah, I stopped there once because I wanted to see it.
On the way to Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Music Man was the coolest thing ever. And that's about it.
Demilitarized zone.
God, I hope we don't get people from Gary hating us. But you know what? If you do, send us a text.
Yeah, we're in America.
I want to engage with you.
Everyone hates everyone else right now.
Yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, Captain Austin. He also took his car into the mechanic because there was having some issues. His driver's side seat, the motor, you know how sometimes you have a motor that you can push a button and it can move forward or backward.
Adjust the seat, yeah.
Yeah. The motor on that seat broke. He attributes this to the demons. What? It's demons.
What year is this? You said this is 2012 and not 1812?
It's 2012. Yes.
What the fuck? This reminds me of the old timey Bell Witch and all these old stories that you heard in the 1840s with.
Yeah. Well, those are even more interesting. Weren't there trapdoors and shit with that?
Elaborate.
They at least did more.
Yeah.
Now, Captain Austin definitely believed Latoya's story and the claims of the paranormal activity. Mm-hmm. We're going to take a step back now. That's what's happening at the house. That's what's happening with Mom and Grandma. Now we need to go back to these kids. So in April, this is when DCS did the whole petitioning of the juvenile court for the temporary wardship, is what it's called, of the 3 kids. Mm-hmm. And DCS, they did find that Latoya was neglecting her children when it came to education.
There we go.
They were not going to school regularly, and you're going to love this. Latoya's excuse for that was that she could not let the kids go to school because the spirits made them sick or would keep the kids up all night.
So the ground zero for danger and evil is the house.
Yeah.
And you've got carte blanche to get these kids out of the house for 8 to 9 hours a day, 5 days a week. And you don't. Because, okay.
Yeah, I don't get it. But we don't have children, so we don't understand.
No, if my kid was walking up walls, I'd probably get him out of the house.
Yeah. The 2 oldest children were taken to St. Joseph's Carmelite home in East Chicago. Yeah. And the youngest boy, that's now 8, he was sent to Christian Haven in Wheatfield for a psychiatric evaluation.
Okay.
He's kind of acting out the most. He's the youngest.
He's the youngest.
Classic,
He's most susceptible to what his mom and grandma are telling him is happening.
Yep. Clinical psychologist Stacy Wright evaluated the youngest child. She said that he tended to act possessed when he was challenged, redirected, or asked questions that he just didn't like.
Yeah.
Yeah. He seemed totally fine, coherent, and logical, but then when she would start talking about demons, he would start to switch up his story a bit. They'd become a little more fragmented. He wasn't really making sense. The stories were changing a lot.
I mean, he's making it up as he goes along? Telling a story?
Yeah. He would try to change the subject with the psychologist, too. Be like, do you like math? What do you think of space? And that's pretty smart for a 7-year-old. I think this is a smart 8-year-old. Sorry. I think he's a smart kid. And he's in a situation that he can manipulate easily, and he's doing it. That's a smart 8-year-old. Now, this is what Dr. Wright wrote as her psychological evaluation. Mm-hmm. She says, This appears to be an unfortunate and sad case of a child who has been induced into a delusional system perpetuated by his mother and potentially reinforced by other relatives.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Also, through most of this, the two youngest kids have been the most involved with this. I haven't really heard much about the eldest kid.
The girl, the 12-year-old. Yeah.
Was she experiencing all this too?
Well, she got levitated and she got hit with the headboard.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. She's not really acting out as much, but things are happening to her. Okay. Yeah. Joseph Schwartz is another clinical psychologist who was evaluating the older brother and sister.
Okay.
He also had, shockingly enough, similar findings. What he said was, there also appears to be a need to assess the extent to which the daughter may have been unduly influenced by her mother's concerns that the family was exposed to paranormal experiences. The daughter's older, so I'm guessing she's probably trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
She's probably sitting there going,
she's at the age that she can question
what's
things.
Happening?
She's not necessarily just going to take what mom says. Yeah. Someone hit you with a headboard and told you ghosted it.
Yeah. The daughter told Schwartz that she saw shadowy figures in the house and she has slipped into 2 trances. Latoya was also examined by several psychologists. They all said every time that she was guarded, but she didn't seem to be experiencing symptoms of psychosis or like a thought disorder. One psychologist did recommend that Latoya be assessed to determine whether her religiosity may be masking underlying delusional ideations or perceptual disturbances. So that's a very big worded way of just saying her religion is clouding her eyes to see what the truth really is.
Religion that once facilitates mental illness and it masks it. It gives an excuse for you believe in shit that violates every law of the universe, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's mentally ill, in my opinion, to believe things that are untrue.
They just aren't there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, even though all of this, Latoya and her children were all adamant that they were possessed by demons. So DCS sent goals for Latoya in order for her to get her children back. One of the stipulations was that the children were not to discuss demons and being possessed, and they needed to take responsibility for their actions, and they needed to go to therapy. They understood that Latoya and her children were close, but they were just like, Latoya, girl, use other forms of discipline other than religious or paranormal shit. Like, stop telling your children that they're possessed.
Yeah.
Latoya also needed to get a job and find suitable housing for the family since their current situation was inappropriate due to, quote, paranormal activity. So again, we have DCS saying, you're doing all these things, creating this bad environment, but then they're like, but actually, don't go back to that house, though, because we're really not sure. It's very strange, I think.
I mean, the argument could be made that they don't honestly, I'm talking about the authorities
the DCS,
here. They don't believe the house is haunted, but they recognize that the family does believe it.
It's like the impetus of it all.
So just get them out away from the source of, not that it's real, but they're fixated on it. The source of their fixation.
Get rid of it. As Latoya was trying to get back on her feet and regain custody of her children, DCS continued investigating the strange happenings at the house, even though no one's really living there right now. Like Rosa and Latoya are staying with relatives. Kids are in the care of other people. Now we're in May of 2012. Still, not even a year has passed since they moved in.
I'd be really interested to hear what the landlord of this rental house says. If he's like, yeah, they haven't paid their rent the whole time. If that's the case, and like, this is how they're getting out of it. Like, we're not paying rent because it's haunted, or something to that effect.
I don't know. I really don't. The landlord was interviewed like once, and he didn't really give a shit. Like, I don't know what happened there. Rosa, Latoya, Captain Austin, and 2 other officers went back to the house in May of 2012. It was not official police business. The police officers that were there went off duty.
Oh, I'll say that's an illegal search then.
Searching the house for the ghost.
Yeah.
The ghost comes out like, I know my rights.
What are they going to do?
You can't raid me.
What are they going to do if they encounter a ghost? Ghost speaks Latin? Sounds like a foreign language to me.
Oh, God. You can only laugh. Well, The police were there, again, Captain Austin, Rosa, Latoya, and they were joined by the priest Maginot, as well as 2 Lake County officers. Now, the Lake County officers, I think, were there on official business because they had a police dog.
Okay.
And a DCS case manager was there, too. It was a new one, though. It wasn't Washington. Her name is Samantha Illick.
Okay.
Washington said she didn't want to go back to the house. She took herself off the case. Now, this group that went in, they noticed a strange liquid in the basement. And Maginot wanted to look in the basement more and see if he could find a pentagram or personal objects that might have been cursed. Maginot believed that a demonic presence could be down in the basement, or it could be a portal to hell, or that someone maybe died in the basement. He's just thinking of everything at this point. Yeah. Let's just keep feeding this. The 4 police officers that were there, they went ahead and they dug a 4-foot by 3-foot hole underneath the stairs in the basement. It's like a dirt floor basement. They did find some things. A pink press-on nail.
Oh.
A white pair of panties. A political button, like a pin.
Yeah.
A lid that goes to a small cooking pan. Some socks. Candy wrappers. And a heavy metal object that looked like a weight for like a drapery thing or something. I don't know, some weird metal thing.
So just various rubbish and refuse.
Yes,
just
in a basement that's been rented out to multiple families. Random shit in a random basement.
No bones, no borrowed or buried bones.
Yeah. Hey, that's the name of the podcast. But yeah, no, nothing crazy. So they just ultimately knew that was nothing, and they just filled the hole back in and called it good. Maginot then blessed some salt, and then he spread this blessed salt around.
Oh, but bless the salt. I thought you didn't need to bless it.
That's what I thought too. Yeah, I've got an issue with Maginot. Like, I know I'm not a practicing Catholic or believe in it anymore, but like, he's pissing me off as a priest. He's pissing me off. He's bad representation. Well, there's a lot of that, but in a different way. So yeah, bless the salt, spread it around, and then the DCS worker, Samantha Illick, she was upstairs around this time, and she all of a sudden felt her left pinky tingle, and then it turned white, and then she said that her pinky felt like it broke. So like, that's a big jump. And then no more than 10 minutes later, Samantha felt like she was going to have a panic attack, and she needed to step out of the house.
Okay, well.
Yeah. And as Samantha was outside waiting for everyone else to finish looking around and whatnot, Maginot was questioning Latoya.
Okay.
And she did end up getting the nerve to go inside. And Maginot was questioning her, just asking about things. And that's when Latoya started complaining about having a headache. And she also had some shoulder pain. And so she went outside to wait with Samantha. That's it with that.
Okay.
Just remember the headache. Remember that kind of comes back. Now, Captain Austin, he left the house around nightfall because he didn't want to be at the house past dark. So he was one of the first ones to like, leave.
That's
he
when
was
the
like,
vampires
I'm out.
Come out.
That's when everything comes out. The other officers, they continued on, and on the main floor, they noticed an oil-like liquid dripping from the Venetian blinds in the living room, I think, this time. And the officers, they wiped it off, cleaned it, and then left the room, but they watched to make sure that no one else was entering, so they knew like no one was in there for about 20 minutes. And then when they went back into the room, they checked the blinds, and that oily substance was back. And there was no explanation as to where it came from.
And these being cops, they took samples and sent them to the State Police Crime Lab for analysis, which would have definitively stated what this substance is, right?
Nope.
They did none of that as cops. Okay. They could have solved it all right there.
Yep.
That's ghost goo.
Gross.
Ghost jizz.
Ew. So Maginot said that this liquid was a manifestation of a paranormal or demonic presence. Maginot, he's interviewed in this like Indiana Star article that I found in 2014. And he says that he did ask the bishop for permission to perform an exorcism, and the bishop would not allow it. He did say it was okay to do like a mini exorcism, which is called a minor rite. And it wasn't a church sanctioned affair. It was something that like any priest could just do on their own. And the bishop was okay with it because it just wasn't tied to the church. Like if something went awry, they could be like, nope, wasn't us. It was just that one singular person.
The portal to hell,
right?
Accidentally,
right?
And hell floods in and takes over the earth.
Yes,
they can say it's that Maginot guy, not us.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's really interesting about all of this is that Maginot was told by the bishop to get help from other priests who have done a minor rite before. So he did. He found the priests that did this before in their past, and the experienced priests, they then advised Maginot to consult the internet.
Have you tried Googling it?
Yeah.
They
figure it out.
Told him to rent. Should have told him to watch The Exorcist.
Yeah, probably. So after researching online, Maginot decided to do what he calls an intense blessing on their house to expel the bad spirits. The same day as the house blessing, Maginot performed the minor rite on Latoya as well. So he did this intense blessing. He's double dipping here. Okay. Intense blessing and minor rite on Latoya. Yeah. He prayed and he made statements of appeal for the demon to leave.
You just got to ask him.
Yeah. Please leave, demon. Now, there were 2 police officers there at this time and the DCS worker, Samantha Illick.
Okay.
They were all present, and Samantha said that she left that day believing something strange was going on. After visiting the home, Samantha, she had a string of medical problems and just overall bad luck. 1 week after the visit, she got 3rd-degree burns from a motorcycle. I don't know if she, I'm assuming she got road burn or something.
I'm assuming a ghost didn't just drop a motorcycle out of the sky onto her.
Right.
So...
And then all of these things happened within 30 days of the visit to the house. So all of this stuff. So the motorcycle 3rd-degree burn. Then she broke 3 ribs while she was jet skiing. She broke a hand when she hit a table. And she broke her ankle when running in flip-flops.
So it sounds like she was doing an active lifestyle kind of thing where these accidents could happen.
Mm-hmm. Samantha did say that she had friends that wouldn't talk to her because they thought that something had attached itself to her.
Shit friends.
Yeah, I don't know. Now let's go back to Maginot and Latoya. Maginot told Latoya to do some research of her own. Apparently these priests in this area love their internet. And they try to figure out the name of the demon that resides inside of her. So he's like, Latoya, do some research. Figure out who's inside of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because at some point, this demon told someone in history his name, introduced himself all friendly-like, and someone wrote it down. And yeah.
So she needed to try to figure out the name of the demon that was inside of her. So as she's doing the research, she's, remembering and realizing the little characteristics of what she was experiencing. And that's what she's putting into search. As she was doing this, she said that her computer kept shutting down and she felt sick and lightheaded. And then she finally stumbled onto the name that she believes is the demon that lives within her.
I'm going to have 4 guesses.
Mm-hmm.
Azazel, Behemoth, Leviathan, and Beelzebub. It's one of those 4, isn't it?
She found Beelzebub. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
I don't like saying it.
So she found a name that she liked.
Well,
that was a popular demon name.
It means Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
And so the flies in the beginning, in her home or her porch, that made sense to her. Now, I can see this, but this is where it gets even weirder. Latoya continues her research and she finds the names of demons that torture kids. So she's like, oh, we got those demons too, because my kids are being tortured. And then she even goes further and said that she believes that she has high-ranking demons attached to her as well, like lieutenants and sergeants.
She thinks very, very highly of herself. That's what I always get with demons too, is man, all the top guns are coming out to get you. Everyone who gets possessed, it's always the upper echelon who are possessing you.
But are there lieutenants? Is there an army? I don't understand.
Yeah. Lucifer's on top, and then he's got there's
in the Bible, he says, I have Lieutenant Beelzebub,
none
I have Sergeant this, I have Captain that.
All the shit written by theologians after the fact in the centuries since. Yeah, none of it's in the Bible. Yeah. I mean, Satan's in the Bible, but yeah.
After the minor rite of Latoya, Reverend Maginot, he was able to get permission from the bishop to perform a full-on exorcism. Now, that is according to the Indiana Star article.
Okay.
A full-on exorcism is exactly the same thing as a minor rite, but it's considered more powerful because now the ritual has the backing of the Catholic Church. Maginot, he would perform 3 full-on exorcisms. So with the minor rite, that would be like 4 on Latoya. All different times. 2 of the exorcisms would be in English and 1 would be in Latin. And these exorcisms were performed in his church. Remember, Latoya does not have her children right now because of how obsessed she is with all of this.
With demons.
Yes.
And this is, honestly, I'm feeding into it. Like...
You're feeding into it?
No, not us.
Yes.
No, I mean, what's happening? Like the Catholic Church and these exorcisms, like you're bolstering her.
Yep.
Yeah, you're validating it.
You are, yeah. When like the other people who are like, we have our kids, we would love for them to be reunited one day. Can we stop? But they think the only way to make it stop is to get exorcised and...
I always say magical thinking.
Yeah.
You open yourself to magical thinking. Everything else your brain just falls the fuck out of your head.
Yep. So again... Maginot would press a crucifix to Latoya's head. She would convulse, and then he would say, "I cast you out, unclean spirit." Latoya would convulse again. And then once it was over, Latoya said it felt like something inside was trying to hold on and hurt her all at the same time. She also said it felt as intense as giving birth. She then fell asleep.
Did she shit herself?
No.
So it couldn't have been that intense.
Gross. Maginot thinks that she would fall asleep because this was like a defense tactic for the demon to put more of a guard up against the exorcism. She always fell asleep, I guess, after these exorcisms.
Yeah.
Now, after the first 2 exorcisms, Maginot, he went on a small little retreat for like a little bit.
I don't like...
we don't know anything about it. We don't know anything about it. Don't just get your mind out of that gutter. I have no idea. And when he was gone on this little retreat, he had a woman watch over Latoya in case anything happened while he was away. This woman wrote a long name of a demon, not the demon that she said it was, but another name. We don't know the name that she put in the paper. And she placed it in an envelope and said she's ready to burn it if Latoya should need help. At this point, Latoya and Rosa are now living in Indianapolis, and they're making trips back to Gary for exorcisms and court hearings pertaining to the custody of the children. While Maginot was on this retreat, Latoya did complain of having bad dreams and headaches again. The woman looking after her, she burned the envelope and she saved the ashes to put into a church bonfire later.
So you're going to burn the ashes?
Yeah. And I guess the nightmare stopped after that. Done.
Oh.
So Maginot returned from the retreat and he performed the final exorcism on Latoya in the end of June in 2012. This was the one where he spoke in Latin and Latoya was convulsing a little bit and then she fell asleep. But at the end, she was saved. Oh.
That's it?
Latoya and her mother, Rosa, drove back home to Indianapolis, finally free from fear. Latoya was then able to regain custody of her children in November of 2012. So she was only without them for about 6 months. And Latoya says in an interview that when you hear something like this, don't assume it's not real because I lived it. I know it's real.
Okay.
So let's hear what some skeptics have to say about it all. How about that? That are not us.
Yeah.
I found this really great website called Skeptical Inquirer.
Oh, yeah. I know that one.
And it led me to a couple articles by 2 different people. One of them is by Joe Nickel.
Yes.
He's a demonologist.
He debunks all kinds, not
great.
just demonology, he debunks UFOs.
Oh,
he
okay.
debunks anything that's stupid that people believe in. He's like, well, here's why it's stupid.
I love it. He's like annoyed as hell.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm like, oh my God,
he
thank
looks
you.
for the simplest fucking answer. And it's like, it's probably fucking that.
It's probably the easiest answer. Why do we have to make it harder than it is?
That door flew open. Maybe there's
many...
a draft as opposed to a soul surviving death, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Anyway, Nickel was sent by the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry, also known as CSI, to investigate what the hell is going on. Now, Nickel, just like you did in the beginning, he just points out that Gary, Indiana was once known as the murder capital of the U.S.
Oh.
And I think that matters because it's a bad scene. It's not very pleasant. You're just in like a...
It's an economically depressed... If it's...
Yes.
Any murder capital is going to be an economically depressed area.
Nickel also points out, like what you asked earlier, that the house is a rental and that the tenants before them and after them have never said anything, never reported anything, did nothing. The first public reporting of the haunted house is by the reporter from the Indiana Star. I am going to have this article in my show notes. I don't want to out her because I don't like her reporting. I don't.
That's fair.
I didn't like the way she wrote. I can't say her reporting. I didn't like how she wrote this story. It's the only one I read.
Okay.
It was kind of sensationalized.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe that's what they wanted. I don't know. I don't know her life. Nickel says that the sounds of people walking around could have easily just been noises of the house.
Yeah.
It's a new house to them. Houses settle, and it's early winter. They creak and settle in the cold. That's just what happens. Every house settles.
Who are these people that are living in these completely silent vacuum houses?
Yeah.
Our house creaks all goddamn night long.
Oh, yeah.
Who are these? It sounds like we're sleeping in the hull of a ship all the time.
Yeah. Someone could break in and I wouldn't even know. I'd be like, it's just the house.
Yeah.
Nickel also theorized that Rosa, when she was saying how she saw a shadowy figure, someone walking.
Sleep paralysis.
No. Oh. I mean, yeah, maybe, but like more of just the natural, like in-between state. Like you wake up a little and then you know. Yeah. State. So it could have just been that. Now, as for the footprints that Rosa saw, turns out when Nickel went in to look at things deeper, that those footprints weren't noticed until the following morning.
After people had been through the house.
So it could have been anything. Could have been anyone or anything. Yep. And
Jesus.
Latoya, she also did have a small little record with the Department of Child Services.
There we go.
In 2009, it was on record that she got in trouble with them for the same thing, the children not going to school regularly. Mm-hmm. So again, not beating, not abuse. No, she's like an unorganized mom. Like she's trying. I think she's really trying. And I think she really believed this, but still there's patterns here that we're seeing that are not paranormal or supernatural. In 2014, so 2 years after all of this happened, Nickel did go to the house to speak to the current residents that were currently renting.
Yeah.
And they really didn't comment too much on it. They said that their biggest issue was the public curiosity and the Gary PD always driving by, rubbernecking and staring. Yeah. They actually called the landlord to see if he could do anything about the police, like stopping the drive-bys.
To look at,
Like, will you guys just leave us alone?
Can't you guys go arrest some living suspects?
Yeah. They said they never had any experiences while they were there. And then the husband said, it's hocus pocus or whatever.
Yeah.
He just didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And they did tell Nickel that the house had just been purchased by Zach Baggins for $35,000.
I'm always surprised that's a real name.
Yeah. Well, if you don't know who he is the executive producer and host of Ghost Adventurers, which is or was on the Travel Channel. I don't know. He did other things.
87th season, I think.
I don't know. He's
Spoiler
done a
alert,
lot.
They never find a ghost.
Yeah. He also has a museum in Las Vegas with everything that he's done.
What a perfect place for a scam museum in Vegas. The land of scams. So
before we get too into Zach Baggins, let's continue on with all of these experiences that the family had. Nickel does a great job at breaking it down. First, he says the children just moved to this new area. They started a new school. They didn't have any friends.
I was going to ask, did they move from elsewhere to Gary? Like, was Gary itself a whole new town for them? Or
I think so, yeah. Because I think they're from, like, Indianapolis area.
Oh.
I'm not 100% on that, but that's what it seems like. So this is clearly a plausible reason as to why the kids would be acting up or making things up or doing all this.
They're stressed. They're anxious. Yeah.
There is also a doctor's report stating that Latoya told the doctor that the children would fight each other and be abusive toward one another to the point of making each other pass out. So I'm thinking the girl got hit with the headboard by a brother.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened. Plus, Latoya, she was very religious herself. Shocker. The children, they probably noticed her response, their behaviors, and they just went with it.
Yeah.
Oh, she's going to care for us and cuddle us when we have a freak out? Great.
You do what's expected of you, too.
Yeah.
You respond how... Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One medical professional reported to DCS when they were visiting the hospital that one of the boys said, "There are ghosts in the home, thousands of them." And he also said that he could see them. However, the medical professionals didn't speak to the boy until after Latoya said, "You can tell the medical professionals the truth." Which, I don't know how to take that, but obviously the boy didn't feel comfortable talking until his mom said it's okay.
Yeah.
Which that's kind of a sign, but you never know. The medical staff, most of them do believe that this child, the son, was performing for his mom. With Latoya being very religious, like you and I had mentioned earlier, Nichols also echoing this, that religious people tend to be more susceptible to believing in the supernatural. And
by definition.
Yeah, I mean,
they do believe in the
they do
supernatural.
believe in it, yeah.
That's what I'm like, why does it stop for you? Like, people are like, I believed in things that happened thousands of years ago. I'm like, well, why would it stop?
Yep. Latoya felt that the only thing that would help her was to take her children to churches and temples to remove these demons. She ultimately credits God with saving everyone, and she doesn't really give credit to DCS or the medical staff.
Didn't God put her through it all in the first place?
Yeah. Well, God won't give you what you can't handle. Now, Nickel does seem to be able to answer quite a bit of these experiences. And he just kind of wants to say, hey, if you just look at what it is, then we'll find the answer.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. Nickel says this term, demonic phenomena.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomena.
Phenomenon is singular.
Singular, yeah. Plural, so he's saying in the plural sense, this family went through a demonic phenomena.
Okay.
And also the officers like Captain Austin, Samantha, Samantha. Yeah. So he's saying that Captain Austin, he did admittedly come in with what Nickel refers to as a high superstition quotient, because Captain Austin said that he was religious and he believed in ghosts and spirits, but he just didn't really believe in demons until he saw the house. Remember when Captain Austin said we took the photos and there's these weird white cloudy things and this stuff? Nickel obviously says it could have easily been light from the flash that caused these white figures and faces. And then our brains like to form faces and patterns, and this is called...
Oh, a pareidolia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always forget what that word is, so I wanted you just to say it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But yeah, it's our natural inclination to form patterns, faces, shapes that we know. Our brains want to make sense of the world, so we're going to make sense of the world. Don't underestimate your brains.
And that's something we adapted through evolution.
Oh.
Not through religion.
So basically, you're going to see what you want to see. If you can think it, you can see it. Now, there's an exterior photo taken that does show like a vague, blurry image of a person standing in the front window you can see on the porch. This could have been an example of seeing what you want to see. It could have been a reflection from someone who's on the sidewalk.
I could go take a photo of 10 houses right now at random.
Yeah.
And most of them will have something blurry in one window that maybe kind of vaguely resembles the shape of a person.
And I did find this photo. It's pretty well known. I will post it on my Blue Sky account for everyone to see. It's easily something else. That's just it. Now, in the Indiana Star report or article in 2014, she references the photo as taken by the Hammond Police Department. But Nickel, when he went to go speak to the Hammond PD, they told him that they didn't take it and that it wasn't taken by their department as evidence, and that the Hammond PD weren't even involved with the case at all.
It's different cities' department.
Yeah.
Why would they?
So why would this reporter say that? Why would this reporter say this photo was taken by the Hammond PD and it's evident, right? It's weird. Yeah. I don't get it. Just find it kind of curious. That's all.
Yeah. If I was covering a crime in Detroit, I wouldn't say the Flint PD took the photo.
Yeah.
Like, why would they be there?
Yeah. Remember when Captain Austin and the other officers, they got that recording of the whispered, hey?
Yeah.
Right. So Nicole says it's similar to what our eyes do. Our ears do the same thing. And I listened to it. You hear what's suggested to you, but you also, it's kind of like the guy, the hey happens right before he speaks. It's like he takes a breath and then he speaks. So,
yeah. Want to hear a ghost recite someone's social security number? Then I will believe. Or a full-on paragraph. Recite me a Shakespearean sonnet.
Yeah.
And you've got all this power, but somehow all you can do is...
Right. Why can't you communicate with us, but you can be inside of us?
Yeah.
Why?
It's so stupid.
Nicole spoke about the one son that was allegedly thrown out of the bathroom. Again, kids
he jumped.
Can launch themselves. They can do it. No one was there to see how it started. He just threw himself out of the room. What is that kid reacting to? What was happening before that? We're not getting the full story, really. Now, what about the daughter levitating, though? How do we explain that? So Nicole has a theory. We can't disprove it, obviously, and we can't prove it. But the thing is that Latoya, the mom, she's changed the story about this a few times. And at the end of all this, she did sign a contract or an agreement with Inside Edition.
There you go. Payday. There we go. Payday. That's what it all was building towards. And therefore, all of her accounts can be disregarded by me. Once you're getting paid to do it, I don't care.
It gets better. So she tells in the interview with Inside Edition, she never ever uses the word levitate. Instead, she says that she watched it and a demon attacked her daughter and it raised her up off the bed, snatched her off the bed. So in the first report, Grandma describes it as more of like a floating and then she's descended down. Now, Mom, 2 years later, is saying it was a quick, jerky moment, like fast. So Nicole's thinking, like what you said with the boy in the hospital, maybe the daughter kind of threw herself, like she's on a mattress, it's springy. Yeah. Maybe she arched her back, used her toes and her head to like make it look weird for a second. I mean, there's a lot of weird moments you can do. And if you're already thinking something's happening, again, you're going to see what you want to see. Even David Blaine doesn't levitate.
We're assuming, again, that's even in the best scenario, assuming that they're being totally honest and not deliberately being deceptive.
Exactly. Right.
Which to me is still a leap that I'm not entirely willing to take.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah. But the weirdest story is still the 9-year-old son walking backwards up the wall on the ceiling and over his grandma with the witnesses there. Nicole tried to get answers. He went to the hospital, but they wouldn't talk to him. He tried to speak to Valerie Washington, and she spoke with him out of politeness, but she wasn't allowed to talk about it. They're minors, not really allowed to say much. So
HIPAA and all that and confidentiality.
So Nicole can only have like a theory about this. However, it seems plausible. The exam room that they were in was small. So again, the 9-year-old boy never let go of his grandma's hands, ever.
So is he pressing
against grandma
and pushing up against the wall?
Yes.
I'm assuming his back is to the wall.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So he pushes his feet up against while he's still, okay.
Yes. So they can still stay in contact while he's going above her and on the ceiling. And it was probably quicker than it's being described.
Yeah.
And without realizing it, grandma was probably stabilizing him against the wall and against the ceiling. And then he flips back behind her. Like,
I doubt it was a fluid Jackie Chan type.
It's
movement.
possible.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
The situation is that physical thing is possible to do in reality, not supernaturally, but physically it's possible.
Yes. Okay.
That's why I was very adamant about it happened.
Okay.
But again, people see what they want. They were all susceptible to the story coming in, and they all said, demons. Yeah. Like, why? Now, Reverend Mashin, I don't like him. He, of course, believed all the stories, and
you got to believe your snake oil works to sell it.
Nicole very quickly dismisses everything the priest says. He doesn't go through and debunk everything. He's just like, this guy's full of shit.
He's a priest.
Because Nicole, I saw multiple articles that he actually never got permission from the church to do an exorcism, even though, again, Indiana Star reporter said that he did.
Well, I could see the Catholic Church denying, even if it was accurate what she reported.
I guess it would come down to a he said, Is Maginot right or is the bishop right?
Yeah, and I could see the church denying, and that's embarrassing to them.
That's true.
I mean, I've written
Fair
things
enough,
that they've been like,
we didn't do
say
that.
I'm like, yes, you did.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You're right. You've really dealt with the diocese around here. Okay, fair. The Catholic Church can be shady as fuck. I get it. But either way, Maginot did what he wanted. And it seems like Maginot was he was pretty open to having his 15 minutes of fame. He signed a contract with Zach Bagans to produce a documentary on the case. He also signed a contract with Evergreen Media Holdings, and the chairman of that produced the horror movie The Conjuring. And that's based off of this case.
I figured it was one of those awful, not good horror movies.
Yeah. Now, when asked, Maginot says that he really didn't think that signing with Evergreen, that the story would become so sensationalized.
I'm sure he donated all of his proceeds, having taken a vow of poverty, too.
Yeah, no way.
All that Hollywood money went right back to the poor people, right?
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
There was also a movie on Netflix called The Deliverance, but that one was a good one. It just straight up said based off of or inspired by, and it really was just inspired by it.
Yeah, it wasn't a full literal adaptation.
No, it was just, and it's a decent movie. I watched it if you guys want to watch it. It's fine.
Is Glenn Close in that?
Yeah.
Does she have that? Okay, I'm not going to say it, but I never watched it, but I remember our coworkers discussed it when it came out, and I forgot about it till we were discussing it just now.
She was interesting in it. I don't know why they had to have her as it, though. I don't, whatever. It's not about that. So now let's talk about the documentary that Zach Bagans did with this house real quick.
Documentary with scare quotes around it.
Quotes, yeah. The name is called Demon House. And this is another article that I grabbed from the Skeptical Inquirer by Kenny Biddle. He debunked this Demon House thing. I'm not going to use the word documentary anymore. Right. Zach Bagans will, but I'm not, because it's not a documentary.
He made some entertainment.
Yeah, it's a film. It's just not what happened. He talks about the stories, but then he does recreations of them, and they're so dramatized. It's just not how it went down. Like, when they recreate the story of the boy going up the wall and grandma holding his hands, in the recreation, she's not holding his hands.
Oh.
And he's like floating in the corner of the ceiling. That just didn't happen. That didn't happen. And then there's also parts of the recreations where he just adds to it. Like in the report.
Did I walk in on you watching it? And this is when he was talking like how he felt possessed for a moment and just started like walking awkwardly at like his cameraman.
Yeah. Yeah. He just started doing weird things.
I was cracking up at that. I'm like, this is supposed to be menacing.
Yeah,
like this is the dorkiest, nerdiest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Y'all, I took a hit. I watched this fucking thing. Cole couldn't even sit through it. He walked out.
It's so
stupid.
Anything that's in fucking night vision.
And honestly, Zach, if you want to sue me, I'll just take this episode down. I don't give a shit. He would do things like act like he was possessed all of a sudden and be like, oh my God, I blacked out. What happened? Did I hit you? Did I do something? And they're like, yeah, man, you were crazy. Oh my God, bro, whatever. Then he would also do things in the recreations. Like one of the reports would say that these kids were acting aggressive and they would say, damn. But in the recreation, he would make them more aggressive and say, fuck. Like just things like that to make it worse. Then early on in the documentary or the film, Bagans refers to the demon house as the next Amityville, which shows his stupidity because the Amityville was debunked in the 70s.
Yeah. That's a scam. It's I mean, murders happen at the Amityville house.
Right.
But
it's not haunted.
Haunted, and it's not,
Yeah, and it's been debunked plenty of times.
Yeah.
He then claims that the film is cursed and he got sick. Crew members would either quit or they had to be fired. Witnesses and experts ended up in the hospital, and it took him 3 years to finish this film. They would have to be fired. Yeah, I don't know why he said it like that.
You mean you fired them?
Yeah.
Things were so bad that people had to be fired on set. You fired them.
Yeah. Oh, and then I almost forgot about this. He had, which is in none of the stories, he added like a whole goat-headed demon plot line.
Oh, what's a demon without a goat?
He said
you gotta have a goat in there somewhere.
He's been having these dreams of this big goat-headed demon. And he believes that's the demon that's controlling everything. Nowhere is this mentioned until Zach Bagans is on the scene.
Just like everybody else who tells me a dream, I don't care.
Yeah.
Nothing is less interesting than somebody else telling you about a dream they had.
So, yeah, there was a part of this film where Bagans brings in an inspector to check the house because he buys it. inspect the house, very standard stuff. And the inspector finds things. He found black mold in the attic, but he did say that the attic was like, no one really goes up there. I think it's like a crawl space attic, so it's not going to affect anyone. However, he said there's probably some carbon monoxide leaks coming out of the furnace and the water heater exhaust.
I was wondering if there's any like gas leaks that might be causing some, not causing, but exaggerating hallucinations or.
Now, carbon monoxide.
I don't know if that would do that.
It can, if you have carbon monoxide poisoning, it can cause headaches. Okay. Latoya complained about a lot of headaches, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, confusion, blurred vision,
all symptoms.
Loss of consciousness, and hallucinations.
Oh.
I mean, there it is.
Yeah.
Everything. And
her religiosity mixed with leaking harmful, noxious gases.
Yep.
Her kids being
around it as well.
Yeah, and being thrown into a stressful new school.
It's a perfect storm.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about it, though, is Baggins just kind of dismisses this. And he's just like, well, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. So he decides to lock himself in the house alone for one night to just add drama to it. Because we kind of got depleted when the inspector said,
it couldn't be the rest of his life.
Well, he boarded himself in. Like, why would you have to do that?
It would have been funny if a fire started and he couldn't get out.
Right.
And he,
like what if a real actual thing is going to happen?
I would have loved to write a headline for that. Like, man locks himself in house and accidentally kills himself in a house fire.
It doesn't make any sense. So anyway, he boards himself in for the night and he has his own handheld camera, and then they have surveillance cameras as well throughout the house.
Sick tech, bro.
Neat. But the only thing that actually kind of happens is when he's in the bedroom and he has his handheld camera on the bed. And of course, it goes out of focus. It's just out of focus. These digital cameras do that a lot. And you can hear him get scared and he yells a little or screams a little, but then it cuts to the surveillance camera view that's in the room with him. Mm-hmm. So now we're seeing a clearer vision of Zach on the bed in the bedroom, staring out the door into the hallway, and he's curled up on the bed, scared. But curiously, there's no surveillance camera in the hallway. So we never get to see what Baggins is scared of, because he just screams and it cuts, and he just tells people that it was a scary thing.
Yeah.
The film ends with Baggins demolishing the home because he said that the house needed to go away, and he believes that it caused too many problems.
How does a guy that hunts things that aren't real have money to just buy and bulldoze houses willy-nilly?
Well, I mean, he's doing us a service by no one being able to come check out what he saw.
This is why I say America is an embarrassment of money. Like, this guy's made a living just doing nothing.
Yeah. Baggins did save the staircase from the basement, though, and a couple other things for his museum in Vegas. And he's got like a whole demon house exhibit, and he calls the staircase to hell. If he really believed it and was really that scared to the point of demolishing the home, why would you keep the most haunted part of it all?
Because he doesn't.
Exactly. He demolished it so no one else could look into it. That's what he did. Yeah. So that's the story of the demon house. And just, keep your CO2 detectors around your house and say some prayers, but also check your shit. Check your head. Like, make sure you're good physically before you go supernatural. God.
Yeah, there's no supernatural.
But that's it. So we're not really the most fun at ghost things because we just debunk them the whole time. But I think it's fun. Yeah. And that was the story of a family being haunted by demons. Mm-hmm. So I hope you enjoyed that. And in the meantime, follow us on Blue Sky at Borrowed Bones. And again, send us a text or go ahead and email us at borrowedbones@proton.m. Thanks for listening. Bye.